What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with a review for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 1, Episode 13. The episode was titled Chilly Reception. Alright, you guys. I don't know how good this review is going to be because I'm a little bit in my feelings because I took the notes last night on another phone, on a phone that I don't use anymore. In the middle of me doing notes for another show, all of my notes just completely deleted themselves. I don't know how. The app, at one point, it just closed on it. It just closed by itself. And then when I opened it back up, nothing. Can't see anything on that phone. So I had to wake up again this morning and redo the notes for this show. Perfect, right? Without further ado, let's go ahead and just get into this show. All right, you guys. I'm gonna start up with Lisa. So we see Lisa, and she meets up with Jen at a bar. So she and Jen start to discuss, everything that happened in Vegas. And Lisa's letting it be known that, when she was leaving, she saw Jen on the elevator, and I guess Jen looked sad to her. So she said, when we get back to Utah, let's meet up and let's have a conversation with each other. So Lisa says that, when it comes down to it, she wants to, like what Jen says, she wants to be loyal to her friendships. And I'm like, really? I don't think I would call Jen a loyal person, but okay. And then she said, seeing Jen broke her heart. Okay. So then they talk about, Vegas. And, Lisa is letting Jen know that, Whitney and Heather, well, more specifically, Whitney had said that, Jen told Lisa that she was trying to get information on her. And then here goes Jen, playing semantics game. Because she's talking about her words were misconstrued. And Jen, I don't think anybody's misconstruing your words. Because most of the things that, most of the things that were said on camera about you, you said on camera. And one thing that cannot be misconstrued is the fact that you did come after Meredith's marriage. So there's nothing you can say that can make me be like, oh no, she wasn't coming after her marriage. Yes, you were. Now here's where Jen lost me completely. So Jen then wants to say that, the reason that she's the way she is number one, because of her culture. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? Then she says being raised in Utah around so many white people. What does that have to do with anything? Not drawing the comparisons there. So, they talk about Heather, and Jen is like, if Heather had such a big issue and stuff, why didn't Heather come to me? The reason that Heather and none of the other ladies came to you is because when they do come at you with anything, you bark at them and you blow up at them. So that's why people don't come to you. So so Lisa telling Jen that she got an invitation to Heather's grand opening, and she asked Jen, is she going? Jen says, I'm thinking about it. So then we do see Lisa later in the episode. This wasn't much of a scene. She was talking to her marketing coordinator about her boys' business, and they had the boys come in there and they gave her a pitch, and that was basically it. Let's move on. All right, you guys, next let's talk about Meredith and Seth. It wasn't much with them either, but I will say that the scene that we did get with Meredith and Seth, it was very awkward and very cringeworthy. She was cutting up a banana. It was just the sexual innuendos that threw me off with Meredith and Seth. So Meredith was telling Seth about, the trip to Vegas and how toxic it was, which I will definitely agree with her about that. And then, she talks about how the ladies have discussed their marriage. Let's be honest, Meredith. It's not the ladies, it is Jen. And I do agree with what Meredith said, though. She feels like they're, fixated on her marriage to avoid, any kind of issues with their marriage, more specifically, Jen. I just it's really interesting to watch Jen talk about Meredith's marriage, but your husband after his party didn't come home for days. That's a big red flag right there. But you sitting here talking about what's going on in Seth and Meredith's marriage, which Seth says they were seeing other people, and whatever they were doing in their marriage is nobody's business, which I do agree with that. Now the question that I wonder is, for Seth to say that they were seeing other people, I feel like it was mostly just Meredith that was seeing other people. I really feel like it was just Meredith. I don't feel like it was Seth. I just feel like it was Meredith. But I do agree. It's not it's what you guys do with in the confines of your marriage, your business. It's nobody else's business. Yeah. So, what? I'm looking at this, and most of the ladies didn't have anything in their solo scenes. So we're just gonna move on. All right, next up, let's talk about Whitney. So, we see Whitney and she is meeting up with her dad. So her dad is almost finished with sober living. He's completed his rehab. So what he's doing now is he's getting ready to audition for a spot as an instructor at a hair school. So Whitney is going down there to be, the model for him. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be mean, shady, or anything of the sorts. But yeah, but but they always say beauticians, their hair always look a mess. What can do, they can always do somebody else's hair, but they can never do their own hair. Now, in some cases, I know some of them just don't be having the time to do their hair because they're booked and busy. But Whitney's dad, that mullet, whatever that is on his head, it's got to. I really wish he would cut that. I don't know, and it always look like it's supposed to be wet, but it's a no for me. Yeah, he wouldn't be able to touch my hair. I'd be like, you can't touch my hair until you do something to that atrocity that is upon your head. Not being shady or anything. Just would not let him. He couldn't put a comb to my head. You couldn't put a scissor to my head. Nothing. Until you fix that is on your head. But yeah, we're gonna move on, you guys. All right, you guys. Next, let's discuss Mary. Where do I even begin to start with Mary? Today, for right now, we're gonna leave Mary's clothing alone. Although what she wore to that church was a mess, but for now we're gonna leave it alone. The one thing that I do want to know, why that picture in the in I guess the foyer of the church, why did it have Rosemary Cosby? I'm assuming that's her grandmother, and God. I was thrown off by that. I was like, oh my God. Wasn't expecting that. So then when we see Mary and her son walk into, the church, and the choir is in the stand, and they just started cheering for Mary. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm really confused by this. Mary is a conundrum. She really is. Somebody should do a study on Mary Cosby, because she's an interesting character. Mary is really rude. She is just rude. Everything that you thinking, you shouldn't say it. Because one of the members of the choir, he didn't look, and it's actually the guitar player. He didn't look bad to me at all. Mary is asking that man, why is he gaining weight? He needs to eat right and drink water. I was like, oh my God. Did you really just sit here and criticize this man for gaining weight? So you say? I don't see anything wrong with how he looks. Like, what is he supposed to look like? What is the man supposed to look like? Like, oh my God. And then the choir, they were rehearsing. Her choir sounds like crap. I just got to keep it real with you. The choir sounded terrible. Yeah, I would just never set foot in Mary Cosby's church ever. You could never pay, you can even pay me to set foot in that woman's church because I wouldn't be filled with the Holy Ghost in that church. You could not, I would not be filled with the Holy Ghost. Like I said in an earlier review, Mary Cosby could not lead me across the street. Mary Cosby could not lead me to the door. Mary Cosby could not lead me anywhere. And she definitely couldn't lead me to God. I have a relationship with God. My relationship is mine with him. I don't need you for that. Mary Cosby. Let's move on. All right, you guys, and then let's talk about Jen. Wasn't much with Jen in this episode as well. So I will say though, it was nice. So Coach Shaw took Jen on a date, and they went salsa dancing, which was really nice. And and if I had saw this Jen episodes ago, see it in the very first episode, the Jen that we saw in episode 13, if I saw this Jen earlier, I probably would have liked Jen a little bit. But, it was nice to see a calmer side. So now I'm starting to see what Whitney was talking about. Now, again, this is going back to, Coach Sharif's party. I see what Whitney was talking about. When Jen is around Sharif, she's calm, sane even. But outside of him, she is the Tasmanian devil. She is a terror in heels. So I definitely get it. But yeah, it was just interesting. I will say that, to see a calmer side of her. Like I said, it took 13 episodes to see this, and I really, really would have preferred to have saw this Jen from the beginning. If I had saw this Jen from the beginning, like I said, I would more than likely actually like the woman. And it's not that I dislike her, it's just I can't deal with people that act like Jen. And we're going to talk about her a little bit more in just a few minutes. But it was nice to see a calmer side to Jinsha Shaw. Maybe she was heavily medicated, I don't know. But God, it was just nice to see a different side of that woman. But let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys, and then let's wrap the episode up. Actually, before we wrap the episode up, I do want to point out one thing that so you guys know at the end of the episode, they always show what's going on with the ladies' lives currently, right? The one thing that caught my attention was the fact that with Jen, they said that she and Coach Shaw are spending much more time together via FaceTime. He's cheating on her, putting it out there. So Heather, this is about Heather though. So Heather, we see her, she's getting ready for the grand opening of the beauty bar. Now, in the beginning of the episode, it was still looking a little iffy if it was going to be complete. So then we know Whitney comes over to the business and they discuss Vegas. So at that point, neither one of them had spoken to Jen. But the thing is, Heather had invited Jen to the grand opening. And I'm like, I'm with Whitney. I would nicely call her and tell her, hey, so I know I invited you to the beauty bar's grand opening. At this point, after everything that happened in Vegas, I'm going to have to rescind that invitation to you, boo-boo. But thank you for your support of the beauty bar. But right now, we're not in a good space, and I don't want you to come. So I will say one thing about Heather. Heather is marketing and branding herself very well with the show. Because even in the show, they showed a billboard with the beauty bar. I'm like, come on, Heather. You better get the coins. So Meredith comes down, and once again we're discussing Vegas and Jen. Neither of them have spoken to Jen. I've already said it. There's deep-rooted issues with Jen. Jen is lashing out at the ladies because of her relationship with Sharif. Speaking of Jen, she did apologize to Sharif about her blowing up. I'm like, but he didn't come to you. Never mind. I'm not even gonna mention that. Hopefully Andy will bring it up at the reunion, which is 3 parts, by the way. So Heather says that in order for her to move forward with Jen, she needs for Jen to apologize. And I'm like, well, good luck with that one, Heather, because If Jen can't even accept apologies, I find it hard to believe that she can even give an apology and it be sincere. So then we see all the ladies, they're getting ready for the party. Oh my God. Mary Cosby. What the hell did you have on? That was a so the wig, as always, a mess. The bag. I was confused about that bag because it was one over here and it was one over here, but they were connected together. And then her makeup. Her makeup looked ghostly. Meredith showed up. Meredith had a mask on. I was like, okay. But Whitney took me out when she had those. And it's so funny looking at Whitney with that mask on her mouth and her face. I had to laugh at Whitney with that one. So, Lisa, she goes and talks to Meredith. She does tell Meredith that, she had a conversation with Jen. And, I respect Meredith. Meredith was like, but the one thing I will say to Meredith, she called Lisa on her bullshit because Lisa, she was like, but wasn't it just you last week that was talking about you didn't know if you want to be friends with her, but now here you are. But, Meredith was like, if you want to be cool with her, that's you. But as of right now, I want no parts of that. So that if you want to hang out with her, you do you, I'm going to do me. That is the mature thing, unlike what Jen wants people to do. So then we see Jen arrive. She's talking to Whitney. Whitney asked her for an apology. When Jen gave that apology, I'm like, Jen does not mean that shit. Again, like I said, I don't think Jen knows what an apology is. Then we see her, she's talking to Meredith. She's apologizing to Meredith. And once again, like I said, I don't believe that Jen is sincere in these apologies that she's giving. So while she's talking to Meredith, Heather comes over. Heather, I have to applaud Heather because Heather stood her ground when it came to Jen. But Jen apologized to her. Again, don't believe it. I don't believe anything that Jen was saying, to be quite honest with you guys. I will say, with Heather standing up for herself, I applaud her for that. But then I was like, this is your event. Why you causing a scene at your event? But hey, get it out however you want to get it out. But you guys, that is the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 1, Episode 13, the season finale. It is a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. So now we are moving on to the 3-part reunion of Salt Lake City. So like this video, leave your comments in the comment section below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification button so you guys are aware when I drop anything else, and share this video. Also, you guys, get down in the description bar, go and check out my affiliate link, and also go subscribe to the Planner channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Oh, and as always, guys, stay safe, take care of yourselves, wash your hands, wear your mask, socially distance, and we will get through this together. Bye.